I'm unboxing my February 2026 Beads of the Month Clubs. I received the Wicked Good 2-hole bead collection for the rotation, the Antique Silver Findings Companion Pack, and Goldstone for my gemstone collection. And of course, I'll finish up with a quick tutorial at the end. So let's get started. We'll start off first with the 2-hole singled Beads of the Month Club. Now this is the club, I'm trying to get it all in the picture here for you. This is the club that if you sign up with my discount code DINA10, then you can receive these same beads on a monthly basis as I do. And I will come back at a later date, at sometime this month, and come back and use these beads in a tutorial, and we'll see what happens with that. I'm not sure what I'm going to make yet, but I have an idea that I'm going to be using these two. We'll see. We'll see what happens with it, because I have another idea for this one and this one. So we'll see. Anyways, let's see what we got. So we start off with this one. This is chalk green luster roulas. Now roulas is they kind of look like little bricks, but they're a little bit more rounded because there is a brick shape out there too that is a 2-hole bead, but this one's a little bit more rounded than the brick shape. So that is the light green color. You get 7 grams of that in the single hole, or the single 2-hole Beads of the Month Club. The next one is the Jet Matte Nibbit. I love that name, Nibbits. They kind of look like candy corn shapes, if you're familiar with what the candy corn shape looks like. But it has the 2 holes, one at the top, where it's more thicker up here at the top, and then one down here at the bottom, at more of the tip portion of it. But it's that matte, jet matte color. And you might hear my puppy dog in the background. We did finally get our puppy this past weekend, and we are kennel training right now. So if you hear a bunch of whining or some barking, things like that, he's not very happy that he has to go in the kennel every once in a while. So just to give you a heads up, he's in his kennel. He's safe. He just doesn't sound that way sometimes. Oh, and then you get 7 grams of this. Sorry, I squirreled there for a minute. All right, the next portion is Jet Picasso half moon pieces. You get 50 of these pieces, so they look like a little half moon. And then you've got 1 hole right here, and then the second hole is right there. So it actually, if you use this in bead weaving, then it would sit up like this. You can also do some different bead weaving to where it sits like this, which we may come back and actually do something like that. Use the beads in that way, just to do something a little bit different. But like I said, we'll see what we're going to come up with. And then you get, this is Chalk Lila Luster Gem Duo Minis. You get 7 grams of these. Now I love gem duos. Gem duos are one of my favorite beads to work with when I'm doing bead weaving. So a gem duo looks just like a little diamond, and you've got the hole going through each little point of the diamond. So that's where your 2 holes come from. And these are the mini size, so these are a lot tinier than regular gem duos. You get 7 grams of that. The next item you get is pink travertine pyramids. These are 12 millimeters, and you get 5 pieces of these. Now your pyramids look just like pyramid. And then I'll hold it up on its side like that. And then your 2 holes go down one of the sides, so you can see the holes right there. So that's where your 2 holes are at. And then you get 5 of those in this month's kit. The next one is Gold Shine Dark Olive Ginkgos. You get 7 grams of these, and these look like ginkgo leaves. So they're very, very interesting. And I have quite a bit of ginkgos in my stash. So that's what it looks like right there. And then your holes go down the top right there. And then they come out on either side of the point on the other side. So they're very fun beads to work with, especially if you have some other beads that are rounded. So the super duos may go really, really well with the ginkgos. There again, may come up with an idea for that. And then these last 2, I'll just say these both at the same time. I think I said 7 grams. You get 7 grams of that. These last 2, you get 10 grams a piece. And the first one, they're both duets, super duo duets, which means that there's one color on one side and then another color on the other side of the duets. And this one is the pink and black, and then this one is the green and black. So it goes along very well with the movies that have been coming out recently. So that is your single 2-hole Beads of the Month Club called Wicked Good. So meet me back in just a moment and we'll go through the Findings Companion Pack next. This month's Findings Companion Pack is the Antique Silver Assortment number 13. So we'll go through this really quick. The first thing you get is a fancy rectangle focal. So here's what this is. It doesn't have the size, but it's pretty significant. It looks like it's about 2 inches by maybe a little over an inch or so in size. So it's pretty significant. It's very thin though. So it's one of those probably stampings, brass stampings, I think is what they're called. So it's not very flimsy. So you might be able to use this as like a backdrop for bead weaving if you wanted to. Or if you do bead embroidery, you can use this as part of one of your bead embroidery type projects. So it's a couple of different options for you. And then that's what the back side looks like. The next thing you get are 2-hole flower links, which are going to be these. You get a total of 5 of these, and I only have just the one out because I'm running out of room in my little tray here. But that's what they look like on the front, and you have the 2 holes that are here on the side, one each going through each flower, and then you also have the links right here too. So you can use this in bead weaving as well as in other projects as well. And then that's what the back side looks like. So very interesting, different items to be able to use that I have not used in the past. And then toggle clasps. You get three sets of toggles, and they can be various shapes and various types. So I ended up getting 2 of this one and then 1 of this one. So there's your toggles. Now this one has a little bit of a 3D effect to it. It looks like that on the front, and then the back side is just flat. So it's a little different. This one looks the same on both sides. So, very cute. Put those 2 guys back. You get rose stud earrings, which are, you get 1 pair of these, and it comes with the little plastic backing also. So you have a little ear nut that you can use along with it, if you would choose to. And then that's what your little flower stud looks like. Eventually it'll focus. There we go. So it looks like that on the front, and then your hole is here along the side, or the underneath it. So that is your earring post. You get 5mm jump rings, just your typical jump rings, and these look like they're antique silver. So they're like a brushed silver look, so they're not as bright as typical silver would be. So good to use in projects and everything. And then you have I feel like I've missed something. 2-sided shaped magnetic clasp, various sizes. I don't think I got a magnetic clasp. Is this a clasp? It's a clasp. I didn't realize that. I thought it was a link. Oh my goodness, that's cool. Okay, so here is your little magnetic clasp. And then you get various shapes, so yours may be a little bit different than mine, but this is really, really cute. I didn't realize that was a clasp. That's pretty cool. I had an idea to use this because I thought it was a link at first. So I had an idea to use this as a connector to a necklace. Like here, your necklace would be sitting up here, and then down here you would connect it to another heart-shaped gemstone, a large heart-shaped gemstone. And I have one of those in my stash. So I may come back and show you how to do that. Or it may be one of those items that I do on one of my lives. So that is actually pretty cool. And then to keep that from coming apart, I would probably just glue the 2 together. And then that way it always stays together. Or that could be, well, that wouldn't be the closure. But yeah, I would probably just glue those 2 together and use it like that. So that's one option to do with that. So that is your antique silver assortment for this month. So meet me back and then we'll go through our gemstones. And next we'll go through our Gemstones Beads of the Month Club. Now I get the single Beads of the Month Club on a monthly basis because I like getting gemstones. This month is called Goldstone, which is actually a man-made stone. So it's not natural. It's something that is man-made, but it's still just as beautiful. It's got all sorts of really pretty gold flecks in it. And this is the red goldstone. It comes in blue and it comes in green. And it seems like there might be a different color too, but I know there's blue and green as well. But I really like using the red and the blue as my favorites right there. And I don't know if you can see that, but you can see a bunch of little gold flecks right there. So really, really neat stone to work with. It's just, you know, unique, very, very interesting. So the first one that you get is 25 pieces of 6mm rounds. The second one is 50 pieces of 4mm rounds, so just a smaller little version. Then you get 15 pieces of rondelles. These are 5x8 rondelles, so pretty large hole there in the center too. And then there's your thickness of it. So there's your 5mm and then your 8mm around. Then you get 6 of these barrels. These are 10x14mm. So nice, very nice thick barrel right there. And then there's your hole. So it's a little bit bigger. It's just about the same size as your rondelles over here. Your hole wide, the thickness of the hole at least. Then you get 5 teardrops. These are topped drilled teardrops, and they are 12x15mm. So, and they are faceted too, so you can see a little bit of faceting in it. So it adds to the sparkle. And then your hole goes up here through the top, so up near the point. And you get 5 of those. Very good to use in earrings. And then the last thing you get is 8 of these faceted coins, and these are 10mm. So you get the faceting again, so you can have that extra sparkle to it. And then your hole goes down the center of the bead right there. So that is the Gemstones Beads of the Month. So next thing you will see after this will be a supplies needed page, so that way if you would like to follow along with my gemstone, more than likely an earring, because that's typically what I do on my unboxings, but if you want to follow along with my gemstone earring, then look at that next page, and then after that I will meet you back and do that tutorial. The earring that we're going to make today. This is called the Abstract Goldstone earring, and I'll show you step by step how to make it. First thing we need to start off with is a comfortable length of thread. I'm using the Wildfire 0.006 inches, and this is in the beige color because I'm using some of the goldstones as well as some gold seed beads and everything, so the beige works really well with that. I have a size 11 needle on, and we're going to start off with a writing a weave unit. So we're going to pick up one of our 4mm goldstone, then 1 seed bead, and we're going to do that 4 times. So we'll have a total of 8 beads on our needle. And that is number 3 and number 4. And then we're going to pull this all the way down to the end of the thread until you have a comfortable amount to be able to hold on to down at the bottom. We're going to go back through that first gemstone bead and that first seed bead. So we're coming out that first seed bead that we added. From here, we're going to add basically our little spokes that are coming off of the raw unit here. To do that, we're going to pick up one of our 4mm gemstones and one of our 15 seed beads. We're going to pull this down to the end, or to the product itself. Then we're going to go back through that 4mm gemstone. We're skipping that first 15 that we just added. Should look like that. And then we're going to go back through this 15 that's in the raw unit down on the bottom. We were originally coming out on the right hand side of that 15 so we're going to go from the left to the right, and you can see that everything is quite loose and the tension is very loose and everything, which is fine because we can just tug on our starter thread here and it'll tighten everything up. So I'm going through the 15 and then I went ahead and went through the next gemstone in line as well. And then when you get everything pulled tight, that's what it should look like so far. So now we're moving on to the next 15 and we're going to do the same thing. So after you get 3 of these put on, or 3 more of these put on, so you have a total of 4, So put on the gemstone and the 15, go back through the gemstone, skipping over the 15. If you forget to actually, and you accidentally go through the 15 at the end, then all your beads are going to fall off the thread. So you'll know right away if you accidentally went back through that 15. And then put that second one on. And I'm just doing this as one take so that way you can see how quick and easy this earring is going to come together. That you can get this done pretty quick, pretty efficiently. If you don't have these specific sizes at home, if you get a different kit or if you have different gemstones that you would like to use, then you can always do that too. You can use pearls if you wanted to use pearls instead. You can even mix and match. You can do this portion with pearls and the rest of it in gemstones. Completely up to you on the design that you want to use. So I am adding the fourth little spoke here on this portion of this component. I'm just going to go through the 15-0 that's on the raw unit, and only the 15-0. I'm not going to proceed back through the next gemstone in line. That is because this is where my starter thread is sitting, is right here. So now all we have to do is just tie this part off and then burn it down. So we're doing it right over left, left over right. And then once we get that tied, make sure you're not going around any extra beads, that you're going in between the beads. So you want to be going in between that 15-0 and that 4mm gemstone. I'm then going to move this knot, try to get it inside that gemstone. So I'm going to proceed through the gemstone and then come out before I get to that next seed bead. And then tug on it just ever so slightly. And then with that little bit of a tug, that should help kind of get the knot into, or at least a little bit closer to the gemstone, and it actually went inside the gemstone that time. So that way your knot is secured inside that gemstone. So now we need to go ahead and burn this part off. And that's the extra little thread, or the starter thread, and then here is the working thread. I went and got myself a new thread burner because I was using up a lot of batteries, so I decided let's go ahead and get a thread burner that you can actually plug in with USB. So if you're interested in it, I can have a link down at the bottom if you're interested in this one. And of course you can always use the original one that I used as well. So I can have both links in the product description if you like. So now it's basically... Alright, so let's try this again. Sorry about that. I ended up having an issue and had to stop and re-record. So we just finished up this portion right here. So now it's just assembly time. So let's first pick up our rondelle. Then we're going to pick up one of our 4mm gemstones. We're going to pick up our raw unit, and we're going to go straight through the raw unit, through the center of it. Pick up another 4mm, a rondelle. Then we're going to end with our 6mm gemstone and one of our seed beads, one of our 8/0 seed beads this time. So that's what it should look like so far. We're going to pull this down to the end of the thread, and just like the raw unit portion, we're going to go back through everything. So skip over the 8/0 seed bead, go back through the 6mm, the rondelle, the 4mm, the raw unit, 4mm, and the rondelle on the other side. Then we need to add the last two seed beads, or last two beads, I mean. Oops, everything's all crooked. Okay, what are we doing here? There we go. Okay, make sure all your thread is through there and nothing is showing like it was doing just then. And then pick up your 6mm, your last one, and your other 8/0 seed bead. Now we're going to go straight back through all the beads again, skipping over the 8/0 seed bead that we just added. Go back towards your first 8/0 seed bead that you added, Give it a nice little tug again. Make sure there's no extra thread showing again, because you want your middle portion right here to be sitting in between the two 4mm 4mm gemstones. That way they're kind of keeping the raw unit stable. We're going to go back through the 8/0 seed bead, go down all your beads one more time, all the gemstones all the way down to the other side. Now we need to get back to where our starter thread is at. So continue through the seed bead, the 8/0 seed bead on this side, and then back through just the 6mm bead right here. And then that is where your thread is at to be tied off. So just give it a nice little tug one more time. Make sure all the beads are as tight as you need it to be, that you would like. No extra thread showing, and tie this part off. And then once you get that done, we're going to move that knot away from everything. So I'm just going to go back through the rondelle and the 4mm bead. And then I'm going to come out through the center of the raw unit that we did. And then that is where I'm going to burn off. Okay, that part. And then we'll get this part burnt down. There we go. Alrighty, so now I need to figure out which one of these seed beads will fit my jump ring. Alright, so let's take one of the jump rings, and I may have to get a second jump ring out. If this one doesn't fit, if your jump rings don't fit through your 8/0s, because sometimes the coating on the inside of the 8/0 makes it a little bit difficult for the jump rings to go through. Sometimes that's the case. If that is the case, you can always switch out your jump rings just to see if that will help any. But what you want to do is just kind of wiggle it through. And don't force it, because if you force it, then you might break the bead. And we're going through pretty good now. So there's that. Now I'm just going to slide on my ear wire. Doesn't really matter which way is front or back, unless your product has a specific bead. Like if you have one of the beads on your spokes or something that you want to have in the front and another one in the back, then that's when you would just be cautious and pay attention to how you put your ear wire on. I don't have that in my case, so I'm just going to put the ear wire on and try to close up the jump ring without losing anything. And or breaking a bead. I don't want to break any beads. Alright. So these stainless steel ones are always really a little tough to kind of get closed all the way. So I may have to put that a little bit closer to my face so I can see that a little bit better. But once you get your second one made, then you have a pair of Abstract Goldstone earrings. That's a look at this month's Beads of the Month Club, along with a quick Abstract Goldstone earring project. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe so you don't miss what's next. I'll be back soon with a full tutorial using the Wicked Good 2-hole beads.